Gotta take off my shoes for this one.
Yeah.
Hey, Peppercini. Look at my Birkenstock tan.
Oh my god, I have one too.
Yes. The truth is you might not be able to keep your natural products around as much as your conventional ones that seem to be lasting forever and ever and ever.
Keep watching to find out how long your natural products should actually last and when you should be checking them. If you've been watching for a while, you know already, I'm Jacqueline.
I'm Amanda.
And we are the Green Beauty Collective. We are natural makeup artists, skin specialists,
and holistic nutritionist. Be sure to subscribe to our channel, hit the bell to be notified for when we release a video every Tuesday.
And if you're curious about what lip colors we're wearing today, make sure to keep watching because we are going to release that about halfway through our video. So unfortunately, natural products don't last forever. And when we do consultations, we find a lot of people are coming in and they say that their eyeshadows or foundations have been sitting in their drawer for like 5, 6, 7 years.
Sometimes 10.
Sometimes
or more.
10, yeah. Like products that don't even exist anymore.
Yeah. In this video, we'll be discussing how to read labels or to check for when you should be potentially throwing out your product or when you should be using it by. And what else are we going to talk about?
We're going to be talking about preservatives,
yes,
how to smell your product if it's going off, and we're also going to touch on how to actually reuse your containers when you do run out of your product, or if you do need to throw it out and you want to keep using that container.
The first thing we're going to touch on is reading expiry dates, and there is a little symbol on the back of your skincare containers and even your makeup containers, and I bet that you didn't know that that's when you're supposed to throw out your product after opening, or just make sure you're using that product after opening. Mm-hmm. So I will add to that too with your products, there's generally enough in your bottle that it'll last you about 3 months. Mm-hmm. So you should be using that. If you're using it consistently, it'll be done within 3 months or so.
Exactly. The next thing, okay. The next thing that we want to talk about are preservatives, because products should have preservatives in them. There are some preservatives in the conventional market that we do want to avoid and that have been deemed carcinogenic or dangerous for our health, and so we do avoid those, but that doesn't mean that we can't have no preservatives in our products. So some of the preservatives that are used in natural skincare, when there's water added, when you're using an oil formulation and it's just oil, you don't need one of these preservatives, but if there is water in the formulation, you do need a preservative. And some of these preservatives are phenoxyethanol, benzyl alcohol, radish root ferment filtrate.
You got it. Sorry.
And lactobacillus ferment. And most of these are broad spectrum preservatives, which mean they protect against yeast, bacteria, and fungi.
I will add to this, again, this is one of those times and situations where certain products just need a preservative in order to be safe for use on the skin and just for human health. So we want to be transparent with you about what products have what preservatives, and then you can decide for yourself if that's going to work for you or not.
Mm-hmm. If you are wanting to go more on the pure end of things, we would recommend like oil formulations, so oil for your skincare. And then you're just gonna have to be a little bit more cautious with the makeup if you're wanting more of a pure formulation, and that could potentially mean not wearing mascara or not wearing certain things that do have those preservatives in them.
I will add with the moisturizers too, generally more natural moisturizers are quite rich because they are made with oil blends, which help to preserve the product. But if you want a lighter textured moisturizer, it is going to have less of those oils in it, so you need to have that preservative in order to keep that product stable.
So an indicator that your product may be going off, or maybe it's time to check the product, is if the smell is off. And a lot of the times, essential oils, the smell will completely change depending on what container it's in. So some essential oils, or even oils, need to be in a dark container for it to stay fresh. and you'll be able to tell right away when you open up the lid. It's not necessarily going to smell rancid. If it smells rancid, you should absolutely throw it out. But it might almost smell a little bit stale, and sometimes I tell people it kind of smells like Play-Doh when you open it, kind of just this like raw, kind of Play-Doh-y smell. And so always smelling your products is really good, especially if you've had them for 6+ months. Always smell to see if the product smells okay, and if it smells good, you can keep it. If not, you might want to consider throwing that out.
If it's just not quite right, that's the time that it's probably time to switch it over. You can keep some of your products in the fridge. If you know that you have a couple of face creams, for example, that you're not going to get through within 3 to 6 months, just pop them in the fridge for a little bit, and then you can get to them when you're ready. Oils are sensitive to heat, light, and air, and this is something that applies to food and nutrition too. So again, as Jacqueline said, dark bottles away from heat, and the least exposure to light possible is the best.
So our question this week is, what do you do with your expired products? How do you keep them fresh without spoiling? And when you do throw out that product, what do you do with the container? We'd like to know, so make sure to comment below. And I want to know what lip color you're wearing today.
I am wearing the Sappho Organics Peach Collection in Christine, and then I have Natalie blush on as well.
Ooh.
Yes,
I am wearing Mariana from Evelyn Iona, and I have a wedding coming up, or when this video is released, I might have already gone to it. And I'm going to wear this dress, so I think that it goes.
Yes,
I think it goes really nicely, so I think I'm going to wear it for the wedding.
Like it. The next point I'm going to talk about is discoloration and oxidization. I mentioned it briefly in the last point. Oils are sensitive to heat, light, and air. So if you have a container where you're screwing off the lid all the time, just make sure you're replacing that cap right away. Pumps are really good to make your products last a little bit longer. And again, if you notice the color of your product just changing a little bit, maybe darkening a little bit, it could be time to switch it out.
So now the big question is, how long do products actually last? And this, again, totally depends on the product. It depends on how often you're using it, how you're scooping it out, what the formulation is, but we'll give you kind of a general ballpark of how long things should last. And we'll start with mascara. And so typically, even with conventional mascara, we usually tell people to chuck it after about 4 months, just because of the potential buildup of bacteria going really close to the eyes. So we say about 3, 4, 5 months, you should be changing your mascara. If you're using it every day, you might also notice that it will start drying out a little bit, and you're really going to have to start scraping it out. So typically, if you're using it every day, you should go through it within about 3 months anyways. So then it's time to replace it with a new mascara.
One thing I do want to add is I oftentimes see people pushing the wand in and out of the tube of the mascara, and that's going to push air into the tube and dry it out more quickly. It's going to make your mascara more clumpy. So when you're using your mascara, you can just gently pull out the wand, scrape off the excess off the tip of the brush if there's too much, and then that extra will go back into your tube when you replace the brush.
Something that I do is I put the mascara wand in and I kind of roll it around the edge to pick up some of the mascara and then pull it out that way instead of pumping it. So foundation's kind of the same thing. We generally say about 3 to 6 months for your foundation as well, because typically it could be a blend of oil and water. And foundation has the ability to oxidize as well, depending on what container it's in. So if you're using your foundation every day, again, you should be fine with the amount of product that you get in the timeline. But if you're not wearing your foundation every day, you do want to be a bit more cautious on how long it's actually going to last you.
I have a little more leeway on this one. I don't know about you, but when it comes to eyeshadows and pressed powders, a drier product, I give it a little bit more of a time frame for expiry, especially if it's just for yourself. Drier products don't tend to collect bacteria and stuff as much as a wet product would. So I would say 1 year. I don't know if people get down on me for this, but you could go 2 maybe, just depending on how your products are going. If you're cleaning your brushes as well, that's going to help with the longevity of your pressed powders and your eyeshadows. So just keep that in mind, and again, be the judge. If you're getting to a 3, 4, 5 year mark, it might be time to get rid of them and switch them over.
Something that I recommend that everyone keeps lying around is just a little spray bottle of alcohol. We always sanitize our powders after clients, so just giving it a really nice spritz of alcohol, that'll kill any bacteria on the surface from your brushes, or even if you're using your fingers, which I don't necessarily recommend with powders. But yeah, powders are definitely, you can get away with a little bit longer.
You can, yeah. Toners are a product I feel like I go through so quickly, so I'm not too worried about this. But again, it's about a 3 to 6 month period of time for using your toners. If you're using hydrosols, or if you're even making your own toners, you can keep them in the fridge too. And I'd say after that, you'd probably start to see a little discoloration, or maybe even a change in smell, and that again is the time to start switching or replacing that product.
If you're making your own toner at home, I would say it has a little bit less of a shelf life than something that you might be buying on the market, because a lot of toners that are on the market do have a very light preservative in them as well, just to keep them super fresh. And then lip products. What about lip products?
Lip products, I don't know about you, but when I was little, grandma's lipsticks had a funky smell, right? So
Smell like crayons.
Like crayons. The
Yeah.
crayon smell is probably not the best. Again, I'd say probably 3 to 6 months for a natural lipstick.
Yeah. And I mean, especially if you're applying it from the tube as well and not sanitizing it. If you're applying it and then just turning it down and putting it away, yeah, you want to be a little bit cautious about that. I always give my lipsticks a little bit of a wipe. And even with things like lip gloss as well, you're putting that wand in your mouth and then putting it back in. So you do want to be a bit more cautious about that, and watching how quickly your lip products do go off. So a lot of the containers that hold the products that we carry are typically glass, so you can refill them. If you want to refill them at kind of like a refillery or a store, you can put so many different things in there, like shampoos for travel. You can put olive oil for your lunch, or salad dressing if you want to put that in. There's so many things that you can do with containers.
I have something to say.
She has something to say.
I actually use the little containers. I put like jewelry and stuff in them when I'm traveling.
yeah.
So I use them as like a little safe place for little things that need to be kept track of.
A funny one, maybe not funny, but like kind of a different one. Some people use their Elate lipstick containers to hold a little tampon, or for like Advil or something. Something that you want to be maybe a little bit more discreet if you're like out in an event or something. You just want to make sure you don't open the wrong to put on your lipstick.
So get creative.
Get creative with how you reuse your containers. There's so many different ways that you can do them. Something we will mention is when you're washing your containers out to be recycled, you really want to make sure you do a good job at washing all of the product out. So what I typically do is I get a nice hot like soapy bath going, and I let all of my containers soak like even just overnight, and then it allows for that oil to kind of break down a little bit more. Sometimes you do need to use like more of a heavy duty dish soap or something like that to get everything out and nice and squeaky clean. So if you are concerned about your products going off and you do want to create more of a minimal kit, maybe you don't use many products, you only use like 3 or 4 products here and there, we made a video called Capsule Beauty Kits, and you can find that link here, or go to the description bar to find the full link of the video, and that will help you build a kit that's a little bit more accessible for those of you who don't wear a lot of products or use a lot of products and just want something a bit more contained. If you're wanting to learn more and join a community of like-minded people, join the conversation in on green beauty, get some product advice, we have a Facebook group called the Green Beauty Community, and you can find that in the description bar below. We'll put a link to it, and anyone can join. All you have to do is send a request, answer a couple questions, and we will accept you into the group.
We do sometimes offer some exclusive little special things in that group as well, so it's a special place to be.
If you enjoyed this video, please let us know by liking it, giving it a thumbs up, or leaving a comment with a question, or maybe there was something you loved about the video. Please let us know. And if you feel like this information would be super helpful to someone, please make sure to share the video with friends and family.
We hope you enjoyed this video, so maybe we'll see you next week, which is Tuesday.
Okay. See you next Tuesday.